Hey there, welcome to Module 3 here in Badass Messaging. Here in Module 3, we're talking about your core messaging themes. Now, this is kind of a different kind of module because we're not necessarily going to be talking about specific statements or specific types of statements like we are in most of the other. Instead, basically what we're doing is we're identifying those big kind of buckets that kind of bring your messaging together. If you're someone who sometimes says something like this, I never know what to say. I never know what to talk about on my podcast. I never know what kind of blog post to write. I never know what to say during a live. I never know what to say if someone is interviewing me. If you struggle with that, chances are you haven't found your core messaging themes. What we're going to be talking about in this module is helping you identify that handful. It could be 3, 4, 5, maybe a few more than that. But the small universe of kind of big topics, big ideas that you want to communicate. When you have identified those, you kind of have your marching orders, if you will. But it shouldn't feel like marching orders. I want you to feel this. Identifying core themes shouldn't feel like someone telling you to do something. It should feel a bit more organic. Kind of identified those things that you're like, I want to talk about this because I know how important it is. I know that you, my audience, need to understand this, need to hear this, need to make this change in the way you're approaching things. And so I want to talk about it to help you come to that. That's what your core messaging end up being about. It's about you kind of identifying those big picture things that you want to talk about all the time because they are the things your audience needs to hear. So, for example, by the way, your core messaging themes aren't going to be how-to videos. Now, I'm not saying you don't do how-to videos, but your messaging needs to be a broader concept from because if all you are is someone how-to content, you're not committing to lead an audience, right? So your core messaging themes are more about how you are committing to lead. So that's where now this is not a course about content strategy. There's another course in BOMU about that, but messaging and content are inextricably intertwined. So we will kind of wrap up this module with a lesson about how do your core messaging themes affect your content to help you kind of get a sense of how to apply this stuff. But basically what I want you to get is once you've figured out your core themes, most of what you talk about just about everywhere fits in with your core theme in some way. That's the power of knowing this stuff. When you know this stuff, you should never again say, well, I don't know what to say. I don't know how to put it. Because you just know the ideas, the messages that you want to get across, and you just go and you get those things across. So that's what we're covering in this module. Go ahead, jump into lesson 2, where we'll be talking about kind of what is a core theme, giving you a sense of what it is so you really know what you're trying to do. Then I'll help you find them. And then after you figure out what your core themes are, we'll talk about how this applies to your content. So go ahead, jump into lesson 2 now.